we have uncovered how the superintendent for the Naval Academy, the guy running the Naval Academy, really broke ethical rules and norms to target and destroy the career of this midshipman. Not only are they purging conservatives in the FBI and other areas of government, but they're also doing it in the military, believe it or not. And there was a midshipman in the Navy who used in the Naval Academy. And I guess he had issued some tweets or retweeted some material that made his supervisors or his commanders at the Naval Academy upset, and they wanted to drum him out. But that wasn't enough. And we have uncovered how the superintendent for the Naval Academy, the guy running the Naval Academy, really broke ethical rules and norms to target and destroy the career of this midshipman. And Judicial Watch, once again, doing the heavy lifting to ferret out this truth about government corruption at the highest levels. The headline of our press release: Pentagon IG concludes Naval Academy superintendent made false statements in effort to end career of midshipman. So there was a report out. There was a report to Congress, right? And buried in it was this information. The DoD OIG investigated allegations that a Navy Vice Admiral made false official statements to senior naval officials on 3 occasions. We did not substantiate the allegations. We concluded the Vice Admiral did not make a false official statement. By the way, a false official statement is different than just lying, right? A false official statement is a legal term, as defined, as they say, by Article 107 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice on any of the 3 occasions. The DoD OIG initiated this investigation based on complaints filed with the DoD hotline. So what Judicial Watch did was we said, give us this OIG report, what went on here. And we asked for it, we got the runaround, and we had to sue for it back in March, which began, I guess the report was issued in September 2022. We sued for it in March, and we finally got a redacted version of the report. We'd asked for it back in December. And so March, and now it's May. So I think we got it in the last few weeks. And the report is much different in import than the DoD OIG's dishonest report, it looks like here, to Congress. It's 19 pages of records from the U.S. Department of Defense, consisting of a report we were able to drag out of the Defense Department. And it's written, and the title of it is Report of Investigations of Vice Admiral Sean L. Buck, U.S. Navy Superintendent, U.S. Naval Academy. So the DoD OIG told Congress, well, we investigated a Navy Vice Admiral. They didn't tell Congress he was Superintendent of the Naval Academy. And they concluded that Buck made false statements in discussions with senior Navy officials during disenrollment proceedings against, as I said, this midshipman for perceived inappropriate tweets. The report details that following Vice Admiral Buck's interview with the midshipman, so he had an interview with the midshipman. He didn't like the midshipman's responses. I guess he didn't even like, more importantly, he didn't like the tweets, so he wanted him out. Okay. And I don't think anyone's really questioning his discretion there. Well, I guess others did question his discretion, so I'll get into that. But that wasn't enough. You know, the report shows that he went out of his way to dishonestly state what went on at the meeting in order to justify the disenrollment with responsible officials in the Navy. So the report details that following that interview that I'm talking about with the midshipman, and they redacted the name, so we kind of have to guess who it is. Buck made false statements internally to other Navy officials on 3 separate occasions when he, quote, asserted that the midshipman said he would use military force against civilians. And he didn't say that. He didn't say that. The report also notes that Buck used these false statements to support his recommendation that the midshipman be disenrolled from the Academy and be required to reimburse the Navy $174,000, so $174,753 for his tuition. So the midshipman was facing a significant, not only the end of his career in the Navy, which I'm sure this young man had been working for most of his life, but saddling him and his family with this tuition reimbursement issue. And it was the report was issued by the Whistleblower Reprisal Investigations Directorate, which is part of the Department of Justice's IG office. In a November 2020 memo, Buck recommended to the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Manpower and Reserve Affairs that the midshipman be disenrolled from the Naval Academy after Buck claimed he had lost confidence in the midshipman. Based on Buck's recommendation, the Secretary of the Navy disenrolled the midshipman from the Naval Academy. However, after the midshipman, he sued, right? You could sue. Everyone can sue. The Navy ultimately allowed him back into the Academy to complete his remaining credits, graduate from the Academy, and receive a commission as an ensign on May 28, 2021, and enter active duty. So they completely capitulated. A news report by Stars and Stripes suggests the midshipman in question may have been a gentleman by the name of Chase Standage. But the report concludes that we conclude by preponderance of the evidence. Now, the preponderance of the evidence, what does that mean? It means, 50% plus one. It's more likely than not. We have more evidence, that weighs in favor of it happening than not happening. That Buck did not make a false official statement as defined by Article 107 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. However, we found that he made a statement that was false during both a conference call with someone and an office visit with someone else. They redacted both names. In February of 2021, we further found that Buck knew that his statements were false, but we could not determine by a preponderance of the evidence that Buck intended to make these false statements on either occasion to deceive the two individuals that he made the false statements to. I don't know. You make a false statement. It's false, but it wasn't designed to deceive. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I read this stuff and it doesn't make sense to me. And, because it's the government, you're not sure if you're crazy, if the government's crazy. And I just decide it's the government that's crazy. Separately, we concluded that Buck did not make a false official statement to former Secretary Braithwaite. So what he was doing was Buck was going around to these decision makers. In the case of the office meeting that's disclosed, he just shows up at the woman's office. And the woman's kind of horrified because she knew there were issues about his statement being at odds with the written report of what actually occurred at the meeting he had with the midshipman. And so he wasn't satisfied with this official recommendation. He was lobbying, using false statements to try to keep this kid disenrolled and out of the Navy Academy. And of course, what did the IG say? The IG, quote, made no recommendation, unquote, regarding Buck. And best I can tell, he's still there. These documents show how Pentagon leaders let a vice admiral and the head of the U.S. Naval Academy off the hook for knowingly making false statements to justify his recommendation to end the career of a young midshipman over tweets. And it is disturbing that it took a federal FOIA lawsuit to uncover how the senior officer made a series of false statements as part of this, as I said, unusual effort to destroy the midshipman. So this is today's Navy, folks. And we've talked about how we have the woke Navy and the woke Air Force and the woke Army, and how our academies training our rising leadership are trying to indoctrinate our rising military leaders in woke theory, anti-Americanism, Marxism, etc. But on top of that, they're breaking the rules, it looks like, violating ethical norms, according at least my conclusion, my opinion based on this report, to target folks that tweet out things that are seen as, quote, too conservative. And then when they are found out, the responsible officials try to cover up the misconduct. And this is why Judicial Watch is essential. I mean, we need watchdogs. And, as citizens, we are supposed to provide independent oversight over our government. And that includes the military, which has a special role in our national life. Because we just can't rely on the government to do it. And as citizens, we have to have we have to be jealous protectors of our liberty. And that means holding government accountable, independent of the entities that the government pretends are going to do it for us.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.